It feels like we're currently living in the age of the multiverse. Over the past several years, stories about alternate timelines and dimensions have begun to dominate mainstream entertainment. Whether it be seeing all three cinematic Spider-Men fight together in No Way Home, Doctor Strange encountering the Illuminati in Multiverse of Madness, the constant crossovers told within the Arrowverse, or even the latest Best Picture winners like Everything Everywhere All at Once. So much of our beloved current day entertainment is based around remixing different continuities. In 2023 alone, we have two major superhero films releasing within weeks of each other, and both have been marketed heavily around their use of the multiverse. But of course, alternate universes aren't anything new to superhero storytelling. In the world of comics, they've been a major staple for decades. Marvel and DC have both regularly dipped into the well of parallel realities throughout their history. However, whereas many of these tales feature universe-ending stakes and armies of heroes from different worlds fighting side by side, the origin of the multiverse in superhero media is far more understated and humble. The superhero multiverse as we know it can be traced back to an unassuming comic book from 1961, where the Flash came face to face with an alternate version of himself. In September 1961, DC Comics told The Flash of Two Worlds, a story that brought Barry Allen, the current-day Scarlet speedster, face-to-face with Jay Garrick, an earlier incarnation of the character and a resident of a parallel Earth. This one-issue tale is one of the most significant stories in the entire history of superheroes, establishing the notion of multiple Earths within the DC universe, setting in motion a trend that would result in the multiversal epics of today, as well as changing the way that both Marvel and DC would approach their continuity and storytelling for generations. And so in this video, I want to explain the history of how the Flash of Two Worlds came to be, discuss the inspirations behind this story and how it brought the heroes of two alternate Earths together for the first time, and try to assess what the legacy of this comic is and how one single issue of the Flash forever changed the entire superhero genre. Before we continue though, just a quick reminder to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to Owen Likes Comics so you don't miss out on any future videos. So, in order to explain the significance of the Flash of Two Worlds and how it launched a new era for DC Comics, it's first necessary to highlight the Flash's history up until this point, and explain what made this crossover between two versions of the Scarlet Speedster so unexpected and significant. While Barry Allen is the character most synonymous with the Flash today, he wasn't actually the original. Instead, Jay Garrick was DC's inaugural speedster, first appearing in Flash Comics issue 1 from January 1940. Created by Gardner Fox and Harry Lampert, the original Flash drew heavy inspiration from Mercury, the Roman god of speed. After being caught in a lab experiment, Garrick awakens with superhuman acceleration, and upon discovering his new extraordinary abilities, dedicates his life to helping others as the Flash. Following his debut appearance, Flash would become a regular feature in the All-Star comic series, where he would serve as a member of the Justice Society of America. Alongside fighting with many other of DC's flagship characters of this era, Garrick received his own solo title in 1941, the bi-monthly series All Flash, which ran for 32 issues until its cancellation in 1948. Unfortunately, All Flash's cancellation coincided with a significant downturn in the popularity of superheroes. You see, in the aftermath of the Second World War, readers turned away from costume crime fighters in favour of new genres of comics. As a result, DC ceased publication of many of their Golden Age characters, with the Flash being a major casualty of this decline. Garrick's final appearance came in All-Star Comics issue 57 from March of 1951, as the Justice Society vanished from the printed page with little more than a whimper. 5 years later though, things had begun to change, and DC attempted to bring back many of their lost heroes. Henceforth, in Showcase issue 4, the company unveiled an all-new version of The Flash. Brought to life by Robert Kanigher and Carmine Infantino, this new hero was Barry Allen, and not only did he have no relation to Jay Garrick, the original Flash was barely mentioned in this new series. In fact, Garrick's only initial appearance in this new Flash series was as a fictional character, with Barry reading issues of the old Flash comics and subtly basing his persona after them. Nevertheless, while Garrick was left behind in the past, Barry Allen proved an immense hit with readers upon his October 1956 debut. The success of Showcase issue 4 allowed DC to reintroduce many other Golden Age heroes, such as Green Lantern, Aquaman and the Atom, as well as bring back the cancelled Flash series for its new protagonist. The Flash issue 105 would hit shelves in March of 1959 and be Barry's new monthly title, and also would be the first installment in the series for 10 years. As DC's catalogue of heroes grew once again, eventually culminating in the formation of the Justice League in 1960, the Flash had established himself as a cornerstone of the company's universe. A bold new era for DC had begun, but as the Flash raced towards this exciting new era, a blast from the past was set to emerge. While the debut of Barry Allen proved to be a tremendous success, with the new Flash quickly becoming a fan favourite character, there remained a desire to see Jay Garrick return to the pages of DC Comics, both from some readers and those within the company. As such, DC began to consider ways to integrate its new generation of heroes with their Golden Age forefathers. Interestingly, while DC's editor-in-chief Julius Schwartz had been contemplating ways to revive some of these lost heroes, the nucleus of the Flash of Two Worlds actually came from artist Carmine Infantino. You see, as both the co-creator of Barry Allen and the lead artist on the Flash series, Infantino would often devise outlandish and bold covers for each issue, forcing the book's main writers Gardner Fox and John Broome to somehow write a story that would justify the artwork. As he recalled in an interview with Nerd Team 30,
"Yeah, I'd do a cover and damn it they'd write a story around it. So I was getting very upset by this. So I said, I'll fix you. I did a cover with some guy in the foreground and two Flashes running up. He's saying, help, and they're both saying, I'm coming. So I put it on his desk and I said, here, solve this, and I walked out. By the time I got home, my phone rang. He said, we got it solved. I went through hell. I couldn't believe it.
In an attempt to one-up his colleagues, Infantino sketched a cover depicting two versions of the Scarlet Speedster, believing that neither Broome, Fox, or even Julius Schwartz will be able to create a story around this idea. And yet, in September 1961, The Flash issue 123 hit shelves, and on its cover, readers saw two versions of the Flash racing to help a person in need. One was Barry Allen, the hero they'd come to expect in this book, and the other was the long-lost Jay Garrick. While this wasn't DC's first story featuring a hero encountering a doppelganger from an alternate dimension, with that distinction being owed to 1953's Wonder Woman issue 59, this comic marked the first attempt to bring the heroes of two distinct worlds together, crossing over to existing parallel versions of The Flash and formally ushering in the concept of the multiverse. The issue begins with Iris West hosting a charity event for orphan children, where Barry, as the Flash, arrives and uses his powers to entertain them. However, as he attempts a daring trick, turning his arm into a rope, Barry begins to vibrate his hands together at super speed, going so fast that he suddenly disappears altogether. Iris and the children are shocked, while the Flash emerges on the outskirts of an unknown city. Confused, Barry theorises that he's somehow travelled back in time, but as he walks into the town, he discovers that he's in Keystone City, immediately recognising this as the hometown of his favourite fictional hero, Jay Garrick. Barry deduces that while Garrick is a comic book character in his reality, he's somehow entered a parallel world where he's real, and as such, the Flash races to try and track down his idol. Eventually, Barry arrives at Jay Garrick's home, discovering an older and now retired Jay who did indeed once protect Keystone City as the Flash. Barry introduces himself as the Flash of his world and explains how Garrick's adventures on the printed page inspired his own heroics. As the two men bond, we cut to a series of crimes being committed throughout the city. We see a collection of classic Flash villains in action: the Thinker, the Shade, and the Fiddler. Once the two Flashes discover the villain's plans, they agree to team up and stop them. Jay suits up for the first time in years and races after the Thinker, while Barry attempts to apprehend the Shade. Unfortunately, neither man can stop the villains alone, as the two foes both get away and realise that there are multiple Flashes hunting them. While the three villains strategize, Barry and Jay unite to stop the Fiddler until the villain hypnotizes them using his violin, instructing the Flashes to aid him in his robberies. Barry and Jay race off, but as the three villains attempt to flee, believing they've defeated the Flash, they discover both heroes waiting for them, as we realize that both Jay and Barry had put tiny jewels in their ears to block out the Fiddler's mind control. Barry and Jay easily defeat the trio and apprehend them, and once the day is saved, Jay thanks Barry for reminding him of his purpose and vows to come out of retirement and continue on as the Flash of his world, which they collectively declare Earth 2. Meanwhile, Barry returns home to Earth 1, reuniting with Iris and explaining his sudden disappearance. He theorizes that the Flash comics that inspired him were somehow based on Jay's real adventures in Earth 2, pondering whether Gardner Fox could ever imagine such an exciting and unexpected story. At the time of its release, The Flash of Two Worlds was truly unlike anything seen before. For newer readers who only knew of Barry Allen as The Flash, it was a fascinating look into an alternate world, something that had never really happened in mainstream superhero comics. But for older fans, it was a long-awaited reunion with a seminal Golden Age character, as Jay Garrick not only returned after a decade out of print, but was able to pass the torch on to the next generation. The response to Flash issue 123 was so positive that DC Comics continued telling stories about their lost Golden Age heroes. Garrick would return to the Flash series 6 issues later, and eventually he would bring the Justice Society back with him. In August of 1963, the JSA encountered the Justice League in a story called Crisis on Earth 1, which established Earth 2 as a safe haven for these once forgotten characters, complete with its own versions of Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman that more resembled their earlier incarnations. DC would even attempt to continue the JSA's adventures on Earth 2 throughout the mid-1970s, reviving the classic All-Star comic series and turning it into a bi-monthly series showcasing new adventures of these Golden Age superheroes. Around the same time, DC also began to introduce other Earths that existed within their multiverse, with several of them populated by characters from other companies who had since gone out of business, such as Captain Marvel existing on Earth S, while the former stars of Charlton Comics resided on Earth 4. However, this age of expansion would come to an end in the following decade. You see, in 1985, DC attempted to destroy their blossoming multiverse in Marv Wolfman and George Perez's miniseries Crisis on Infinite Earths. In the aftermath of Crisis, which saw only one Earth remaining in the entire DC universe, the likes of Jay Garrick and the JSA were reimagined as a previous generation to the current day superheroes, fighting during the Second World War, but now in the present day being retired. But even though DC blew up its multiverse here, the concept of parallel realities and alternate universes had become popularised throughout the entire comic book industry. In the 20 years between The Flash of Two Worlds and Crisis on Infinite Earths, Marvel Comics had also begun to experiment with this form of storytelling, beginning with 1962's Strange Tales issue 103, which sees the Human Torch be transported to a parallel dimension. Marvel would tell countless multiversal stories in titles such as What If and 2 in 1. These books would introduce so many parallel worlds throughout their run that eventually the company would have to designate their primary continuity as Earth 616, denoting just how many different realities existed within Marvel's multiverse. Today, these types of stories are a cornerstone of the superhero genre. Some of the most celebrated comics of the past 40 years, such as The Dark Knight Returns, All-Star Superman and Ultimate Spider-Man, are all set outside of Marvel and DC's main continuities. Not only that, crossovers between realities and different versions of characters have become increasingly commonplace, and now even big-budget superhero films are following this trend and mining the riches of the multiverse. The release of movies such as Spider-Man No Way Home, Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash demonstrate that these types of stories are here to stay, and remain an essential component of superhero storytelling. And with this success and relevance, I think it's important to highlight the humble origins of the multiverse in superhero comics, and celebrate how Gardner Fox and Carmine Infantino unknowingly changed the industry and the genre forever. What started off as a game of one-upsmanship between an artist and a writer quickly evolved into a sincere and heartfelt tribute to a superhero who had once entertained generations of fans but had been allowed to fade away into obscurity. And by opening the door and enabling Jay Garrick to race into the present day, Fox and Infantino accidentally created a storytelling device that would result in some of the most significant superhero tales ever told. Whether it be through the history of the Flash, with Jay Garrick remaining a vital part of the hero's mythos, and time travel and alternate universe stories being a defining characteristic of the Speedster, the expansion of DC's parallel Earths, or the unknowing creation of the superhero multiverse, this humble one-issue story remains one of the most seminal and influential comic books ever put to print, and makes the Flash of Two Worlds an unquestionable bedrock of the modern-day superhero genre. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on this video and leave a comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about in today's video. I can't wait to hear what you have to say as always. If you're new to Owen Likes Comics, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notify bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you enjoyed this and you want some more, there should be some other videos on screen right now that you might also enjoy. If you want to help support the channel and help me make more videos, you can do so over at patreon.com/OwenLikesComics. Or if you just want some more of me, you can follow me on Twitter just at Owen Likes Comics. But that's all for this video though. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you next time. But until then, take care and keep reading.